Morning. Morning, folks. Morning, Ian, John, Stephen, Alistair, Neil, James. Oh, it's moving quick now. Grace, Kate, Irene, Margaret. Oh, we're motoring now. Morning, Dory, Arthur, Alistair. Okay. Morning, the fair city of Perth. Nearly there. Climbing nicely. Morning, Bob. Liz. Morning, Marlon. Morning, Gina. Morning, Betty. Morning, Rose. Quentin. Quentin, you may get number 100 today, so let's get this broadcast underway. Indytruck Davy out the truck and in the souse at his home in Salisbury, where it is overcast and it's 8 degrees and the forecast is for rain. That's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. You want to know what the weather's like where you are? Look at the bloody windy. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, there's no COVID update, so we're getting right into this. And it's a review of the weekend's news, or the stories I've picked out our Friday, Saturday and Sunday to talk about. Alright, so Friday started with 3 main stories in the rags. The Nat McGarry case. Miss McGarry's found guilty of embezzlement of $25,000 from 2 Porthole independence groups. Miss McGarry to be sentenced at the end of June. Miss McGarry's out on bail pending social work reports prior to sentencing. Okay. Bojo's back on Brexit and the NI protocols. It would appear that Bojo's trying to relaunch his failing premiership by getting back in the Brexit crap. Now, you know, that's that oven-ready deal that was supposed to be there and in place and all done and dusted when he took it to the public in a general election in 2019. Alright, anyway, the Good Friday Agreement's under threat. There is also the possibility of a trade war with the EU. If Bojo the Clown tries to legislate to break the withdrawal treaty and, of course, the subsequent UK-EU trade deal. Alright. Now, according to what we're being told, if they try and legislate for this, the House of Lords is going to play funny buggers with the legislation, and they're saying they're going to hold it up for at least a year, because the House of Lords can do that, can bounce back and forth 3 times. Right, and the third big story in the rags is former Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt. He warns the Tory party that they face losing the next election if they don't get a grip on the cost of living crisis. Alright, so that's the 3 main big stories that were in the rags on Friday. Miss McGarry, Bojo threatens to rip up NI protocol, and Jeremy Hunt tells Bojo and his clowns get a grip of the cost of living crisis or face losing the next election. Alright, moving on, Friday. And the public inquiry into Sheikh Bayou's death in police custody in 2015 goes on. The inquiry hears from 2 neighbours of Mr Bayou. The first of them, Neil Morgan, who tells the inquiry he saw Mr Bayou with an 8-inch kitchen knife on the morning of Mr Bayou's death. Alright, Mr Morgan said he went outside to speak to Mr Bayou, who he called Chris. So apparently locally Mr Sheikh Bayou is known as Chris. Alright, now Mr Morgan tells the inquiry that although Mr Bayou had a knife, Mr. Morgan didn't feel threatened at all. Mr. Morgan said Mr. Bayou was not his usual friendly self, and he tried to get Mr. Bayou to come into his house and get a cup of coffee and calm down. Mr. Bayou told Mr. Morgan he was fine, and he went on his way, alright. Now, the inquiry had already heard that Mr. Bayou had taken drugs that particular day, okay. So it would appear Mr. Bayou wasn't in his right state of mind anyway, okay. Now, the public inquiry then heard from another one of his neighbours, and that was Naomi Rhodes. And she tells the public inquiry that on the morning of Mr. Bayou's death, she had been awakened by shouting outside her bedroom window. She looked out the window and seen two men fighting. One of them was Mr. Shaker Bayou, okay. The inquiry also heard from police. The inquiry heard from 3 police officers, okay, and that was a PC Walker, a PC Short and a PC Tomlinson. Now they claim that although Mr. Bayou didn't have the knife at the point where they showed up, that he wouldn't do what he was told, he wouldn't comply with him, so they used CS gas and batons on him. And they claim that Mr. Shaker Bayou had assaulted PC Short. But that's up and that's under doubt, because apparently the BBC Panorama programme has found evidence to the contrary that Mr. Bayou hadn't assaulted PC Short. Okay, so the inquiry is going to continue for a bit longer, right? But as I say, so far BBC Panorama throws police evidence into what happened into doubt. The idea of the inquiry, of course, is to get to the bottom of why Mr. Bayou died in police custody in May and Kirkcaldy in 2015. Now this story's been on for a long time. As I say, the family's been suffering. We even had Mr. Bayou's sister say on Friday that as far as she was concerned, Scotland was a racist country. And Mr. Bayou's family claimed that racism played a part in his death. So we'll get to the bottom of it one way or another. Okay, so the inquiry goes on. Moving on, Friday over in Northern Ireland, the new elected assembly, as expected, can't get up and running. In short, the newly elected MLAs, they call them, they're members of the Legislative Assembly, showed up on Friday to start work, but the DUP wouldn't nominate a speaker. And the DUP won't nominate ministers either because of the NI protocols. So they're claiming. But to be honest with you, with the DUP, I don't think it would matter what the excuse would be. The mere fact that Sinn Féin are now the biggest party in the Stormont Assembly and are now the most popular party in Northern Ireland, that just puts the DUP and the Unionist noses out of joint. So that it was never going to get up and running. Anyway, Michelle O'Neill, Sinn Féin's soon-to-be First Minister, Sinn Féin's First Minister, she tells the DUP to stop messing about and get the Assembly up and running, as the wishes of the Democratic, or as the wishes of the outcome of the election. So, to say the DUP is no playing. The Northern Ireland Assembly can't get up and running. And I can't see it getting up and running anytime soon. There's a big problem here with the NI protocols, and that is popular with everybody except the DUP. Northern Ireland's got the best of both worlds. In fact, the report out on Friday says Northern Ireland's economy is booming compared to RUK. So the NI protocol's popular, but the DUP and some of the unionists out there think it takes Northern Ireland a wee bit further away from its union with the United Kingdom. But as I've said before, it would appear the people in Northern Ireland, or a certain section of them, are a wee bit thick. Westminster's been trying to shove him out the door since 1989. That intensified in 1998. And actually, where we are today has been a progression towards getting Northern Ireland off the books anyway. So there's a lot of unionists who are going to have to get their head wrapped around the fact that England doesn't want them anymore. England just doesn't want Northern Ireland anymore. Simple as that. Moving on Friday down that road, and the Minister for the Minister for Returning the UK to Dickensian Times, he's also the Minister for Brexit opportunities. He hasn't found any Brexit opportunities, but he is the Minister for Brexit opportunities, Jacob Rees-Mogg. He tells the press and the public, we can get this, that the EU's trying to make the UK feel bad in order to get it to stick to the deal it signed in 2019 and took to the British public in December 2019 and a general election. Moggy's got his petty lip out, and Moggy's saying the EU's trying to make the UK feel bad by demanding that the UK sticks to the deal it brokered and then subsequently signed and put to the UK public in a general election. You know, that general election should be null and void, because what the prospectus that was sold to the UK public in that general election has went right out the window. No tax rises, out the window. No scrapping the triple lock and pensions, out the window. Brexit done. No, it's no. It's still no bloody done. It's being done in bloody increments. And they're trying to kick the last stages of it down the road because that'll affect foods and medicines. So anyway, the haunted pencil, it's got a petted lip because the EU's demanding the UK sticks to the deal it signs, alright? Right, let's move on to Saturday, the 16th of May. Saturday the 14th of May. I'm at 16, I don't put my glasses on, folks. Anyway, Saturday started with a mixed bag in the rags. Probe into latest spike in deaths of newborns. According to the rags, 18 babies have died within 4 weeks of birth in March. Now, apparently that's the second spike. There was a similar spike like that in September. Now these things are routinely investigated to find out if there's a common cause, to find out if it's the environment the children are being born into, whatever. So when we get a spike in infant mortality like that, there is an inquiry, right? And there also appears to be there appears to be a hike in violence on the rail network as well, according to the RMT, right? Now it's handed out a document listing the sort of assaults, insults, abuse that staff on the trains have got to put up with, and people on the trains have had to put up with. So they hand it out to the Hootsman, the Scotsman, and the Scotsman runs a big deal on it on Saturday on the front pages saying that social disturbances and social unrest on the trains is getting out of hand. Alright, there is also a warning from SNP MP Kirsty Oswald that the cut of 90,000 civil servants could disproportionately affect Scotland. Of course it will. It'll disproportionately affect Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. You don't think the stupid bugger Tories are going to throw the English out their jobs, do you? No. So the brunt of it will be Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. So that's where the brunt of the job losses will be. Also Saturday, Bojo the Clown tells millions of UK citizens working from home to get back to the office. He also says that 50 asylum seekers, they call them illegal immigrants, but they're actually asylum seekers, will be shipped off to Rwanda within 2 weeks. It would appear the UK government has upped the time frame and is now entering into the trade in human misery called people trafficking. What they're doing is illegal under international law. But why does it not surprise anybody that the UK Westminster government would break international law? It just doesn't surprise anybody. You know, Saturday, and the UK government's contempt for climate change is on the table for all to see. UK Business Minister Kwasi Kwarteng tells us, the UK public, that the UK government is to reclassify natural gas as a green source of energy. What? Gas is the bloody problem. Gas and oil's a bloody problem. Burning fossil fuels is a bloody problem. Yet here we've got the UK business minister telling us they're going to reclassify natural gas as a clean source of energy. Oof. Just shows you've got no intention of trying to turn round the climate catastrophe which is upon us. Sorry kids, 50 to 100 years will be feck all left for yous. Nothing. Because that shower of shite down the road don't care enough. Short-termism is what we see from governments. There's no long-term planning. Right, moving on. Saturday. New drugs to prevent breast cancer is to be fast-tracked. Now, the drug it's used to prevent breast cancer in post-menopausal women. And this medicine's cheap, it's only 10 pence a pop, and it is, as I say, given to post-menopausal women, it reduces the chances of cancer, breast cancer in post-menopausal women. Okay, now the drug is called, well, no, I get my glasses, folks. I'm kidding myself on here, I've been trying to do it them for long enough. The drug's called anastrozole, and as I say, it only costs 10 pence a pop. Moving on, Saturday, new poll from Britain's Future, a Tory think tank, tells us that 55% of Scots want rid of the monarch as head of state. Right, and that's even higher amongst the 16 to 35-year-olds, where support for the monarchs is as low as 37%. Alright. Now, the attitudes in England and Wales sees, believe it or not, England, the monarch as head of state is 70% support in England, and unbelievably 73% support in Wales. Alright, but among the young in England and Wales, the monarchy is seen less favourably, with 28% of those between the 18 and 35 think that the end of Queen Elizabeth should be the end of the monarchy as heads of state here in the UK. Alright, so it would appear that the monarch isn't popular here. You need to excuse the glasses, folks, I'm going to have to start wearing them. It would appear the monarchy is not very popular here in Scotland, but we didn't need a poll to tell us that. The Duchess of Balmoral isn't really that popular here. I mean, if we have a look at the activities that are going on in England to celebrate our Jubilee, and we have a look at here in Scotland, there's nobody paying anybody attention to the Duchess of bloody Balmoral. You know what I mean? Nobody. Right, so they're the stories I've picked to you for Friday and Saturday. I hope you found them interesting, I found them informative. Let's move on to Sunday. Sunday starts with a mixed bag in the rags. Judy Murray reveals she had been sexually assaulted at an event. She is urging more men to get on board with calling out misogyny. Fair dues. The Herald is back on the ferry saga, and it says it's got a leaked report that says the ferries might never sail. And the headline was abandoned ship. Scotland on Sunday, government urged to back bid for a world's first fusion power plant. Now, according to Scotland on Sunday, the SNP stance against nuclear power should change, and they should bid to put on this bloody, to build this fusion reactor. Well, as a Davy says here, nuclear's no safe, and it's a brand new reactor, never been done before. Go and blow somebody else's bloody country up before we even think about it. Alright. Also Sunday, Police and Crimes Minister down that road, Kip Malthouse, has a go at the SNP Green Government, and the headline in the Sunday Daily Mail, it reads, devastating attack by Westminster on Holyrood's failure to tackle drugs crisis. SNP too soft on drugs, says UK Minister. Devastating attack. We don't give a shite what Westminster's going to say. But there's two important things that Davy has to say here. Drugs legislation is reserved to Westminster, and the war on drugs hasn't feckin' worked. At least up here, the Scottish Government, consisting of the SNP and Greens, are trying to tackle it as a health crisis, an addiction problem, a health crisis. Anyway, Kit Malthouse down that road is no chuffed that the Scottish Government won't get Police Scotland involved in their a hard-ass attitude towards tackling the drugs scene. You know, you take one drug peddler off the street, another one pops up, especially when people are skint and poor. So, the war on drugs has never bloody worked. And Kit Malthouse is an idiot. He knows fine well the reason the Scottish Government can't tackle the drugs problem properly is because they've got one hand shackled behind their back. Drugs legislation is bloody well reserved. But the notion that it's a devastating attack, we don't give a shite what Kit Malthouse is going to say. See these loony right-wing rags? Somebody needs to take them at feckin' court. Right. Anyway, moving on. Sunday and the Tories have more troubles on the way. The middle classes get whacked with tax rises. More than 2.5 million UK workers to be hit by the 40% tax band due to wage rises and the freeze in the tax bands. Things are not going well for the Tories, are they? The minute you start smacking the middle classes in the bahookie, that's when you start losing your votes. On the plus side, because they're smacking the middle classes in the bahookie up here, it's shoving them to our side of thinking. It's shoving them towards the idea of Scottish independence. Because Davy's always said this, the working classes are 100% behind it. It was those who voted on their wallets and protecting their wallets last time that kept us in this bloody union. Well, guess what? There's no security for their wallets now. So more and more of them are starting to look at it and say, you know what, let's get to hell away, then we can start by getting back into the EU and rebuilding our economy properly, with all the levers and all the powers required to be able to do it. Right, moving on. Sunday, and the Cabinet takes aim at the Bank of England over inflation rates, alright. Now, according to the Times, the Cabinet are no best chuffed with the Bank of England, who apparently only has one job, and that one job is to control inflation rates. It's supposed to keep it at 2%, but it's never managed it really. You know, and it's only got to one blunt instrument, and that's interest rates to try and control inflation. Anyway, the Bank of England hits back by telling the Chancellor that you better get a grip on the cost of living crisis, because that's one of the reasons why we have spiralling inflation. Mental. Right, moving on. Sunday, top academic Professor Stephen Riker of St Andrews University says Scotland deserves credit for pioneering civic nationalism. Alright. Now, you know how the Unionists like to and Westminster like to portray any type of nationalism as nasty and dirty and underhand. Well, according to Professor Riker, Professor of Social Psychology, he said the idea that all types of nationalism carry the seeds of hate was untrue, and Scotland's civic nationalist movement proves that. So according to Professor Riker, our inclusive civic nationalist movement, no blood and soil, no hate in it, it's inclusive, and that includes everybody who lives here. Alright, so when they're talking about calling us nasty Nats and things like that, we just stroke it up, folks. Our civic nationalism has got nothing to do with blood and soil and guns and hatred. Our civic nationalism has to do with the citizens of Scotland realising that the best people to make decisions for Scotland are the people who live in Scotland. Not the people who live in the house of thieves and carpetbaggers or down that road. Also, over the weekend, First Minister Nicola Sturgeon is over in America. It's expected she'll try and encourage more business links between Scotland and the US. She'll also deliver a speech on the climate emergency while she's there. Alright. And it would appear that Maggie Thatcher's statue went up down that road yesterday and all. Within 2 hours of it being up, people were throwing bloody eggs at it. Absolutely bad. And apparently the Queen and all was out on her jollies at the weekend for her Jubilee. I think she went to see some sort of horse event, you know. But we'll get more of that when we get to the right-wing nut job rags in the papers this morning, will we? Right, moving on. Talking about the papers, let's get to what the papers have to say. Okay. Right, let's get to this morning's papers, what the papers have to say. The Fail has radiant, happy and simply glorious. Apparently the Duchess of Balmoral was out and about, as I said, and apparently she looked radiant, happy and simply glorious. Pictures I've seen looks like a wee old woman that's on her deathbed, actually. She had that much slap on to hide the fact that she's about 965 years old. It's not true. Right, the other right-wing loony rag, the Express, goes on. Boris warns EU will act if you don't change. Davy says, I can hear them laughing in Brussels for here. The Eye has PM gambles. Gambles UK trade war with EU. Right, or PM gambles. Gamble risks trade war with EU, and that's sort of the NI protocols, right? But let's make this quite clear for everybody, right, so you all understand. There won't be a long trade war with the EU. The UK will buckle, because we have very few trading partners on the planet right now. And to get right down to it, the EU have realigned the supply chain, like I've already said. And little England's got nothing at all that the EU needs. None. England's big export is professional services, and according to the Financial Times this morning, because of Brexit, England's professional services, you know, legal, banking, advertising, you know the stuff, have taken a hit of £110 billion because of Brexit. So that's 110 billion quid's worth of losses to the City of London and to professional services in England, because there is no equivalence that allows them to trade in the EU 27. And as I pointed out the other day, the EU 27 are 27 of the richest countries on the planet, and they're the ones that use professional services like banking, advertising, legal, that sort of thing. When you think about it, all international contracts used to be written up in English. That will not be the case now. Okay, where were we? The Scotsman goes on. Johnson issues threat to EU over NI, over Northern Ireland deal. Johnson's not issuing threats to anybody. What Johnson's doing is he's making noises hoping they can bring the EU back to the table. But when Liz Truss went out to make that noise the other day there, Thursday I think she was there in Europe, he tell her to piss off. And as I've explained, if they mess with the NI protocols and mess with the Good Friday Agreement, it's not just the EU that's going to smack little England. Unfortunately, we're still part of the bloody outfits. Westminster outfit. It's going to be the US as well. There's going to be a slap coming from both sides. It won't be pretty. And as we already have nobody left to bloody trade with, and the contractions on, I explained this on Friday on David Nye's broadcast in the afternoon. If you've not seen it, jump down. Our markets have just went from 500 million people to 27 countries to 3 countries and a province. Our internal market of 65 million isn't enough to support all the businesses in the UK. And as SMEs are the major employer in the UK, we are looking at mass unemployment. It's no rocket science. When your market shrinks from 500 million people to 65 million people, you don't have as many people to sell to, you don't need as many companies making what's required. You don't need as many employees. So contraction's on. It's going to be bloody so. The Herald has changes to protocol could hurt peace treaty, Johnson warned, and that's a foreign secretary in Southern Ireland. telling Bojo that the peace could be endangered if he pisses about with the NI protocol and the Good Friday Agreement. Right, the Times has PM defies international warnings on NI protocol. Same thing again. The Yanks are telling them not to piss about with them. The EU's telling them don't piss about with them and stick to the deal that you signed. But it would appear that the tub thumping's no finished yet. But if the Unionists in Northern Ireland think there's going to be big changes coming to the NI protocol, they're wrong. Johnson doesn't give a shite about the people in Northern Ireland. And as I've just explained, the protocols are popular with businesses in Northern Ireland. NI's booming. Now the Telegraph is right out the other day, alright? It says PM attacks Brussels over cost of living crisis. Wow. It wasn't Brussels that took the UK out of the biggest trading bloc on the fucking planet. It wasn't Brussels that invaded Ukraine. It wasn't Brussels that made an arse of the pandemic. So Bojo taking aim at the EU for the cost of living crisis is absolute fucking madness. Anyway, there isn't a cost of living crisis. What there is rampant profiteering. We've seen the German Government Act, energy prices capped at 5%. The French Government Act, energy price capped at 4%. It's just that they Tory bastards doing that road are profiteering. Simple as that. Because they're the ones that hold shares in all the public utility companies. Because when Maggie sold them off, the Tories were the only feckers in the 80s that had any money to buy them up. Right, the Metro goes on. Kiev will host Eurovision. Apparently Ukraine won the Eurovision Song Contest, but there was no point in anybody else turning up, was there? Right, the National has unelected Tory minister denies public conned over Brexit, and this is this idiot Malcolm Offord, who's been made a knight because of his advertising agency's Akanchi's work against Scottish independence in the last referendum. Anyway, he's now head of propaganda at the Scotland office, and he is spending vast amount of money so that you get Tory and UK adverts promoting the UK state on your Facebook and Twitter timeline. So they're using our money to use propaganda against us. Wonderful. Right, and the record goes on. My quest to find Bible John. And it has to do with the son of the third victim of a Bible John. Apparently, he's coming home from Canada to catch his mammy's killer. Good luck with that, because apparently this Bible John thing is just a lot of crap. According to the latest cold case reflection on Bible John, it would appear that they're beginning to think it was more than one person. It wasn't just a single person who carried out these murders. It was more than one person. Okay. And the Star has, whoa, look who's back. David Tennant's to return to Doctor Who for Regeneration Special, prior to the new fella taking over. Okay. Right, that's what I've got for you today, folks. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it entertaining. As I say, there were bigger stories running about, but the stories I pulled out were the ones that caught my eye. The ones that I wanted to talk about. Okay, so as I say, I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it entertaining. Let's go into the usual stuff, alright? Partisan politics in your pockets, get your eyes on the prize. We're running into an independence campaign. So, learn your how you gonies and get out there and win hearts and minds, okay? Support the independent media, support Broadcasting Scotland, support Independence Live, support Caledon Media. Norrie does a great wee job down there. Support Trues Radio, you know the stuff. Support independent vloggers and bloggers, including Stephen Kelly and Mr. Million's new channel on YouTube. And if they've got a crowdfunder going, as you know David and I don't have, but if they've got a crowdfunder going and you've got a few pennies to spare, throw them in the pot, because some of these guys do absolutely wonderful work. Health messaging, face coverings in closed public space. I know it's only guidance, but follow the guidance. Clean hands and surfaces regularly. When it comes to social distancing, use your napper. And if you're still testing, submit your results to the NHS so we can keep an eye on how much it's out there. Okay. You lot have a nice day, and we'll be back tomorrow to stay it all again. And note to yourself, Davy, wear your reading glasses for you on. Bye then.